Okay, we're live. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 103, not 103, 203 of the Security Podcast, Security on the In30 Network. My name is Haim Cohen, and there, through the screen, is Tom. Hi, Tom.
Hi, everyone.
So we haven't had that much news, but we want to talk about some nonsense that's come up, and I call it nonsense, but we'll make it good for you. The very first thing is, before we really start, is you really need to update Chrome. Now, in the show notes, we gave you the greatest article on why you should update Chrome. It basically tells you that there's a problem and the hackers are going to do very bad things to you. But it doesn't really explain what the problem is. So I'm going to go on my soapbox for a second and say, security people, if you're writing an article and you're telling people to update something, okay, remember what an update means. That means they have to shut down their computer. That means they have to close 200 tabs. They have to log out of everything. They have to turn stuff off. They don't know why. And remember, Chrome saves state, so they're not really doing it. Okay, and they think it's going to take 20, 30 minutes. Okay, Chrome updates in about 30 seconds. So you just have to shut it off, literally, to close it out, right-click, exit, and then turn it back on. Chrome saves state so it comes back on. You don't need to get into the details because you have no details. CVE XXXX doesn't help you. So basically, to our listeners, Chrome has a 0 day, which means that there's an active exploit in the wild. People are taking advantage of it. They don't want to tell you what it is for those reasons. So close it, go to the bathroom, come back. Chrome will be open with all your tabs, and you can continue listening to us as it is. Did I sum that up right?
Yeah. Chrome and Firefox, modern browsers are probably the easiest thing in the world to update. You literally just say, hey, can you relaunch this? And like 5 seconds later, it all comes back. All your stuff is there. I love browser updates. It's fast, it's frequent, and it's super, super easy.
Now, the problem are the Chromebooks. So Chromebooks don't, they auto update, but remember, Chrome starts with a green arrow and then it goes to an orange arrow, and then finally you get the yellow arrow that says, like, guys, it's like, hey, come on. I know the people at my work, they just close it. They don't they log off, but they just leave it on. You do need to actually restart it, and therein lies the problem. So, but again, it takes less than 10 seconds. Like when you go to the bathroom, hit restart, you come back, it's all up and running again. So stop what you're doing, restart Chrome.
Yeah, super easy.
And if you're one of those people, you just use Firefox, still update Chrome.
Yeah, so I have both on my machine, and I imagine a decent amount of Firefox users are this way, because we tried to run this show, and I tried to open it up in my default browser after I switched back to Firefox, and it turns out Hangouts on Air just doesn't work in Firefox. It can, it should. There's no reason that it wouldn't, but Google says, yeah, you have to use Chrome for this. So thanks.
I've been giving it the old college try with Firefox. I was telling Tom that on my very old MacBook, it was freezing, and I still can't explain what's going on, but I am, as much as I can, trying to use Firefox for everything. For me, it's a learning curve. It doesn't look too much different. It doesn't act differently. It's just, I notice that I'm not using Chrome, so I just have to get my head around it.
Yeah, probably the biggest thing that I missed going to Firefox is the little Hangouts extension, which gives you like nice notifications and a good pop-up, and it's really helpful. And the direct Chromecast integration with a lot of sites, which I did use until I replaced my Chromecast. So it's not perfect. There's definitely things I do miss about Chrome. And I do notice sometimes Firefox can feel a little bit slower, but it's gotten so much better. If you remember Firefox from like 5 years ago and you're like, oh yeah, that's why I switched to Chrome, because Firefox was just such a dog, it's gotten a lot better, a whole lot better recently.
It's, for me, Chrome works, so I try to deal with it. And you heard in the last show, I am trying to de-Google my life as little baby steps as much as I can. And I'm trying to realize different ways I can, if I can't get rid of Google, maybe find just augment with something else. Like, don't do all my searches with Google. Maybe do some incognito searches. I use Waze to drive around, which is still Google, but it's a little more silent. Things like that. So if I can use Firefox for a little bit, it's not going to hurt me. Or maybe use it at work. Just little things like that. So again,
I would recommend, if you have an Android phone, install Firefox Mobile. And for one reason only. You can do add-ons on Firefox on mobile, which means uBlock Origin, the ad-free, the just browsing without ads. You can get that on your phone on Firefox, and it is so much better. Pages load almost instantly. There's no like annoying flashing banners. There's no auto-playing video. I mean, all the great things you love about uBlock Origin, you can get that with Firefox on Android. So, replace Chrome immediately on your Android phones.
So I did do that. So I was going to say that I did put Firefox on, and I have two negatives. The first negative is the snapback. So Samsung was sued for this, but if you scroll down, like you pull down on Chrome, it would automatically update whatever you're looking at. Firefox doesn't have that, or I didn't find the setting. And the second one is Chrome has the block of audio, pop-up audio, or not block it built in. Firefox has it, but it took me a while to find.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit different. Like I do like the tab implementation on Chrome's mobile app a little bit better than Firefox, but it's not bad. It's just different.
So, but yes, Firefox on Android seems to work. I mean, way better than I thought it would. So I give that a big thumbs up. Okay, so we spent all this time. So second story is Facebook. Again, the two stupid thing. Well, one stupid thing and one we're sorry, but we're still stupid. When you signed up and they said, hey, we want you to do two-factor authentication, give us your phone number. We'll send you a text message and you can sign in this way. The problem is now they said that you can run ads against that private phone number. That's a problem. It really is, because they said, hey, no one can have this. And oh, by the way, you can't delete it once you give it to us. So they got everyone's phone number. They know who you are. They know that you need this to log in. So it's probably your cell phone. And oh, by the way, now Cambridge Analytica can run ads against it.
Yeah, this is beyond shady. So this happened. What it basically means is that somebody can use the phone number that you specifically tied to two-factor authentication, right? Nothing else. You didn't say, hey, Facebook, use this for notifications, or use this to update my profile, or make it public to my friends. You just said, I want my 2FA codes to go to this phone number. Now, somebody can type that phone number into a Facebook search box and find your profile. Super shady. Absolutely shady. Now, they were starting to do this. They're leaning into it. There's a massive backlash. People and security people went nuts. They said, really? You're going to take my just for security feature and use it to further embed myself, or this phone number into the Facebook platform? Thanks, but no thanks. And they just went forward and did it anyway. So, slightly related, Mark Zuckerberg put out a post, a Facebook note entitled "A Privacy-Focused Vision for Social Networking," where they talked about end-to-end encryption and committing to, making more private social networks, and how the group chat is becoming the new social network, and they need to embrace it and start storing things more securely. I don't think this is sincere, and it might be, right. It might be an article of best intentions that Zuckerberg really, really wants Facebook to be more private and better at handling your data. But the fact that he puts this article out, right on the heels of them taking your two-factor authentication phone number and using it to, augment their social graph, it reeks of insincerity. It absolutely does.
So I fell asleep while listening to people analyze this, but I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second. So first off, both WhatsApp and Facebook's Messenger on a mobile phone, if you set it up and you're in private mode, uses Open Whisper Systems Signal technology. So the Signal protocol. So that's a huge win. So WhatsApp, I mean, we have a WhatsApp group. You're free to join. Find us. We'll throw you in. We don't spam you. We post awesome links, and it's a good time. So people say, "Oh, why don't you move to Signal?" We spoke about that because the contents of it are encrypted, and there's perfect forward secrecy and everything else. The thing that's not there is the metadata, which I'm sure Facebook, in writing this, knows that that's way more important. The metadata, the number of times you post, what time of day you post. Who are you posting to? Your friends there. That all that's more important than the actual contents of your message. So they can probably say this and say face at the same time. The Instagram, I don't use Instagram. I don't know why people chat over Instagram. I do use Facebook Messenger. I actually do like Facebook Messenger a lot. The problem is that now, I mean, they make it public. I don't use the private messenger because Facebook Messenger itself is a very large program, but the Facebook Lite on your phone and on the desktop is excellent. I mean, it's basically a Hangouts replacement for me at this point. But again, I think the same idea. They know when you're logged in, they know everything about it when you're on the site. When you're on mobile, they're assuming you have the Facebook app installed. So them saying we're going to be super secure on the messaging side, I don't know. It falls flat, but you know what? If they do it, I'm willing to at least listen to it.
Yeah, I want this to be legitimate. I do want to see Facebook take data privacy more seriously. They talk about reducing permanence, which means getting auto deleting messages, for instance. They talk about interoperability, to be able to work with many different systems no matter where you're at. They talk about end-to-end encryption and making sure that Facebook themselves can't read the stuff you're sending, and it's all well and good. The things that Mark Zuckerberg is saying in this note are not false. They're entirely accurate, and really Facebook should be aspiring to do these things. My issue with it is that and in one breath he's saying that things should be more secure and more private, and not even Facebook should have this data. On the other hand, they're taking you the phone number that you specifically tagged as your two-factor authentication phone number and nothing else, and linking it into your profile, and it's just shady. It really, it's not a good look. It really isn't.
So I read this many years ago. It's probably 10 years now. And it was an article about how you can really psychologically mess with your roommate because you know everything about them. Buy Facebook ads against their interests and target somebody with exactly those 5 or 6 interests. And now you can add phone number and with some weird like Goatsy type ad. And you can royally mess with the psychology, the brain of your roommate. And this is what I'm thinking of. I'm going to buy targeted ads for anti whatever my roommate believes in because I know their phone number and send it to them. And that's scary.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It really is.
So, I mean, I think we spoke about this last week. You were talking, you don't use Facebook, and I have to do it for certain things. I'm the communications volunteer person for my town. So I like to hear what's going on in the town. That's near. The issue becomes, so I'm on Facebook. I started hiding when people share posts, all those posts. So no more politics, no more, no more pictures of dogs, no more cute links, no more videos. I just want to see what they're actually talking about. And when it works, it's actually really good. I don't get any more of it. The problem is that I ban both sides, both Occupy Democrats and the other one, the right-wing one, all the Breitbart stuff. And it doesn't actually delete. Like it comes back. And I think what I did is I did it too quickly. So Facebook is going crazy right now on trying to deliver my algorithm. And I just wish it would show me latest story. Maybe I have to change it back to latest stories first, but when it works, it's awesome. Facebook is not as fun for me anymore because there's very few posts because everyone's just sharing nonsense. And when they do post something, you can comment and have an actual discussion.
Yeah, it's I think I'm not sure if we're going to see like a social media revolution with another company coming in with fresh ideas to take on Facebook. The space has typically been pretty churn heavy, right? Like Facebook has been around way longer than anyone gave it credit for, right? You know, looking back, Friendster and MySpace were a flash in the pan, and Facebook has been around for, in internet terms, they've been around forever. There's never been an age without Facebook, from what a lot of people can tell. But I don't know if we're going to see a revolution in social networking, or if, just like it is today, things are going to keep moving towards the group text, whatever form that may take.
And to be honest with you, I think group text social network for me is more of my safe space. And I'm not a safe space person, but I stopped commenting. So somebody posts something on Facebook, I message them directly. I agree with you. I don't agree with you, because you post something. And the stupid thing is somebody's complaining about the gas prices in town. And then instead of discussing the gas prices in town, 30 people now post other gas prices and why should their car should be electric, or they shouldn't be electric, or how it's corporate, it's capitalism, or we should have socialism. And it's like, no, I want to know why two gas stations a quarter mile apart are $1 different in price. Like that's the conversation, not why the other one is out of town. Like, just let's answer the question. So
it's I think a lot of the problems around social networking today are because it's really easy to get worked up about something, and having a nuanced discussion is more difficult.
Correct. So I don't know. I'm hoping that Facebook takes this seriously. I don't have much hope, but I hope they do.
Yeah.
So our main topic today is multi-factor authentication, and we have 13 minutes. I think we can get it done. Basically, we've been talking about this for years. It's either a text message, SMS, or it's a 6-digit code you put in, TOTP, or it's a prompt that you get, or some sort of a fingerprint, or a YubiKey, a U2F device, or a smart card, or whatever it is. And the problem is there's so many, people don't understand them. And not all of them are safe, to the point that it shouldn't even be there. Like, it's there to, like, for example, SMS, it's SIM swapping and everything else. And we'll explain that. It's better than nothing, but it's slightly better than nothing.
Yeah, if you're actually worried about the safety of your account, if SMS is the only option, take it, right? Having some two-factor is better than having no two-factor. That said, you shouldn't ever rely on SMS two-factor authentication to protect against serious accounts. Like, if you can imagine somebody wanting in your account badly enough that they will social engineer your phone provider to try to port your number over to another system so they can receive your two-factor text message and get into your account. If you can imagine that happening to you, if that's part of your threat model, SMS-based two-factor authentication is not the thing you should be relying on. I have talked to a lot of people that say, well, I have two factors, so I can use a really bad password. And that's basically one factor at this point, right? You've removed the password as a factor. You've gone from two factors down to one, because the password is really more of a suggestion than something that's actually protecting your account. So you do have to have a strong password in addition to any 2FA you add on.
I'll just give you a recommendation. If you want a weak password, put 5 periods in the front of it, put 5 periods on the back of it. You instantly have a much stronger password, and it's still very simple to type. I'm not saying do it for everything, but you gain 10 characters.
If you are absolutely committed to having the worst password on the planet, yes, you should do that. For everyone else, use a password manager. It's more lazy. It's way lazier and safer. The benefits far outweigh any negatives. I do want to specifically focus on something that I talked about in, oh man, when did I give this talk? I gave this talk forever ago.
We were on the podcast though, so it couldn't have been that long ago.
Yep, we were. This was 5 years ago. This was back in 2014. I gave a general talk at the Ohio InfoSec Forum, which is a great group. If you're in Ohio, reach out to us. I'll get you their information, or you can go to ohioinfosec.org. Great bunch of people. I used to run the thing. But it was basically a general talk on two-factor authentication. And one of the things that I did cover was that there are two-factor applications that won't give you a code. It won't prompt you for anything. It won't have you type anything. It'll just say, hey, are you trying to log in? Do you want to allow whatever access? And you prompt the user with yes, allow access, or no, disallow access. And this is actually very dangerous. And talking to some of my pen testing buddies, they say that these types of yes, no two-factor authentications are quite literally worthless for one reason. When a user gets a random pop-up, they don't know if it's like the email client on their phone asking for permission to log in and get mail. They don't know if they're going to break anything by saying no. So undoubtedly, most users just click yes, because the yes to them means, yes, I don't want to break anything, keep it all working. And no means, when I hit this, I'm going to break something and deny something. They're not thinking of this two-factor authentication as preventing an attack or an active attack on their account. They're thinking of allowing something access that should probably have it. So giving your users a yes or no isn't really the right answer. I have seen systems that require users to text back or repeat a code. So they'll send like a 6-digit number and have you text that 6-digit number back to the system. That's a little better, but not by much. What you really want is you want your authenticating system to ask the user for a piece of information they got through a different channel, right? Which would be like a TOTP code. Like you launch Google Authenticator or Authy, you get a code, you type it in, you're done. Those are great, but just asking the user yes or no, that's not very good. So some very common examples of two-factor systems that use this are the Blizzard Authenticator for all of your World of Warcraft accounts and BattleNet games. Google does this actually pretty famously. If you have an Android device, they'll pop up and say, hey, is this you? And they give you a little bit more information. It's not just black and white, but it's still not good. It's not the best security answer. It's certainly one of the more convenient multi-factor authentication options, but it is still less safe than having the user go through some manual effort. It's the classic trade-off between security and convenience.
Now Google has, see, the other problem with Google is, so you can make that, but you need a backup. You can't just have that. You need something else. And that lies in the next problem. If you lose your device, is there a backup? And Google, and I've been asking for this, is I don't want to get rid of my Google phone number. Like I want I want Google to have my phone number, but I don't want them to be, I don't want SMS-based two-factor to be on the bottom of that. If you say, hey, I lost my YubiKey, I don't have my phone, I don't have my my TOTP code, my 6-digit code. The only thing that they can authenticate me with is a phone number, and I don't like that. I'm a big proponent of sending something through the mail. So let Google, I'll pay for it, because if I need access, I'll pay the $15 to next day air it. You send me something and I put it in.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fine. And at least in the US, you also get not guarantees, right? Because people can run and grab stuff out of your mailbox if they think that they're going to get a two-factor code. But it does carry stiffer penalties. At least in the US, messing with not packages or parcels necessarily from like UPS or FedEx, but messing with anything sent by the United States Postal Service, USPS specifically, messing with that in any way is a felony. And it carries some pretty steep fines. Now, can you steal somebody's UPS package? Yeah, it's probably not a felony. It's definitely a crime, but it's not a felony. If you steal a USPS piece of mail out of somebody's mailbox, even if it's junk mail, you will go to jail, or at least get fined very heavily, because it is a felony.
but we're losing focus. So so I agree with everything you said. You're 100% right. So the first part was SMS, and so I went. So there were. I just posted this in the show notes that Comcast is apparently a wireless service. The default PIN code is 6 zeros. So what I'm talking about is when you call your carrier and they ask you, do you have a PIN code? And you probably didn't know that you had one because they asked you for the last four of your social, which again, not a good PIN code. Um, they had to default it to something because this is a new thing, and it's probably 0000000. But the underlying problem with the SIM swapping is that they can call the carriers, so you're trusting the carriers to not give your information away. At the same time, you not being the owner of the account has to ask the owner of the account for the last four digits. So you see the problem there. You walk into for me, T-Mobile store and say, "Hey, my dad's paying the bill." To make life easier, I need access to it? Oh, and then you have to, well, can you call him? Can you do this? As annoying as it is, you need that to be very secure, like very, very secure. And if you're worried about that, then SMS codes are not for you.
One thing to keep in mind, and this is a pretty easy way to explain this, this theory to friends and family, is that a chain is only as strong as the weakest link. And if you've got, if you've super hardened your Google account, you've got a 200 character password, you've got a U2F device that you keep in a safety deposit box in the middle of Fort Knox, but your backup two-factor authentication device is plain old SMS codes, your entire security model, your entire authentication model is literally as strong as your two-factor authentication coming over SMS. It is only as strong as the weakest link in the chain. If anything in that chain breaks, it all falls apart.
And if you've gotten into your cell phone account when you're not the owner, that's about how hard it is to get into. It's not that hard. So that actually does scare me. I want to go to the 6-digit codes. So the 6-digit codes are the next step up, and they're 75% good. Is that too low or is that too high?
I would say they're probably about 90% good.
Okay.
The thing you don't want to do is take screenshots or leave your Google Authenticator out or point a webcam at Google Authenticator, which, believe it or not, I've seen lots of webcam pictures on Shodan pointed at like a 6-digit token, or even like a phone running Google Authenticator with the cycling tokens. Because if you get enough of those, you can actually reverse engineer the secret out of them, which is bad news for everyone. It basically means they have full access to any code that Google Authenticator will generate. TOTP isn't broken per se, but it does need a bit more entropy or longer digits to be considered, fully bulletproof at this point. Luckily, it's not completely blown wide open, right? You can't reverse engineer a two-factor code with just one key, right? With just one 6-digit code. But with a few of them, yeah, a dedicated attacker will be able to break that. I'm
more worried about a phishing attack. Now, a phishing attack has to happen within 30 seconds, but okay, so you go to this malformed website, they pop up, log in with your Google account. So as a man in the middle, so as you type it in, they're typing it in, and this can be a bot. And then they get prompted with the Google Authenticator, so then they pass it along to you. And you're typing in because you don't know better. You saw the green lock. You see the green. You see the green bar. Everything looks good. Why are they asking for this? You think you're secure, and now they have access.
Yeah. So phishing will definitely defeat TOTP codes. UTF, FIDO authentication, SQRL, whenever that comes around, are actually resistant to many phishing attempts, which is fantastic. One thing to keep in mind is that if your system is compromised, like if you've got a keylogger on your system, if you've got local malware, it's basically game over. So you can have the best authentication in the world. If you have local malware on the system you're logging in from, not much is going to protect you, if anything. You're basically toast.
And so in the show notes, we put something from DEF CON where they explain U2F. And basically they're doing private and public keys. There's a huge process, and we're trying to get the YubiKey people back on. They're at RSA right now, like literally as we speak. When you hear this, RSA will be over, but we want to get them on so they can explain it again to us, because I think it's a good primer. I want more details on what this Android fingerprint being U2F compliant means, all these other stuff. But so far, unless they have that actual key, and assuming you're not compromised any other way, no, there's no phishing attack that can happen. You need that key. And you heard that I bought a few the other day. I still haven't bought them. I'm using some old ones. But basically, my initial reaction is, what happens if I don't have it? And the answer is, it goes back down the chain, the weakest link, to my 6-digit TOTP code, which I'm happy with, but I'm also not that happy with. So
yeah, it's unfortunate, because you do want these backup devices, right? You don't want to be totally without access to your account if you lose a YubiKey. But at the same time, by introducing backups, you're introducing weakness inherent in the system. You can't win. There's no winning here.
So, I mean, and I think just more companies and more employers and everything need to get on the U2F bandwagon, because it will push everything forward. But
I agree.
If you're looking at two-factor, if you can skip text message, go to the two-factor QR code, the TOTP 6-digit codes. Just start with them. It's going to be really annoying. But before you do it, just read everything, know your password, have a backup just in case. Like, you do something really boneheaded, like you're about to take a picture of it, your computer turns off right after you hit the code and your phone wipes. Like, you have something about it. Somebody once said, print out the QR code and put it in a safety deposit box.
You can do that.
That is not the worst idea. And again, you want your password, so it's time to get a password manager. Not Keeper, yours. KeyPass is free.
I do love KeyPass.
And LastPass has a free service. The rest of them do charge. So you have to go with that. They charge monthly. I think LastPass is, if you do with a family, like your family of 6 will end up being the cheapest. Individually, they raise their price now to $3, which is really annoying. So
$3 whole
a month.
Yeah.
So $48 for 6 people, or $36 for 1 person.
Yeah, and if you think you could even convince one other person to jump on this account, just buy the family account. It's not that much more money. It's $12 more a year. And hopefully you can get somebody else on it.
So I'm looking at that. So anyway, we're over. So we're going to go, and we will talk to you next week.
See you, everyone.
Bye.